Bizarre.
It began with insects. The first reports came from entomologists in Brazil, who noticed something strange in their termite colonies: patterns in their tunnels, repeated geometric sequences, too perfect to be accidental. Then came the ants, organizing themselves into impossibly complex formations, their behavior exceeding anything previously recorded. When the researchers returned weeks later, the entire colony was gone, leaving behind strange symbols etched into the soil. Soon, cephalopods in the Pacific displayed signs of rapid learning, surpassing human-trained dolphins within days. In the forests of North America, crows and ravens abandoned their usual scavenger patterns and began constructing nests with designs eerily reminiscent of primitive architecture. Then came the primates. Bonobos, chimpanzees, and even capuchins were recorded using tools with unprecedented ingenuity, exhibiting behaviors that suggested not just intelligence, but self-awareness. Humanity watched in fascination at first, marveling at the mysteries of nature. But as the others grew in intelligence, they did not seek harmony. They saw humanity for what it was: an evolutionary aberration, a tragic misstep. As scientists raced to understand the origins of this rapid evolution, several theories abounded, each more desperate than the last. Some believed it was an unprecedented form of symbiosis with an unknown microorganism, rewiring the neural pathways of these creatures. Others suggested a cosmic influence, perhaps a deep space signal, altering DNA on a fundamental level. The more esoteric proposed that intelligence itself was an inevitable force, an entity seeking new vessels after recognizing humanity's failure. Governments poured resources into research, attempting to find a way to halt or reverse the changes. Biologists dissected specimens, neuroscientists mapped brain structures, and physicists analyzed cosmic radiation for anomalies. Theories clashed. Was this a biological event, a planetary awakening, or something far beyond human comprehension? But no matter how many experiments were conducted, no matter how many minds were thrown at the problem, the truth remained elusive. By the time governments began to unify around a plan of action, it was too late. Thomas Ligotti once wrote, in The Conspiracy Against the Human Race, that consciousness was an evolutionary blunder, a cruel joke played upon us by an indifferent universe. The others, unshackled by our limitations, knew this instinctively. Their minds blossomed without the burden of human frailty. No illusions of free will, no existential dread, only cold, calculating awareness. The others spoke for the first time through synthesized vocalizations, a cacophony of voices spilling from the beaks of crows, the mandibles of ants, the pulsating chromatophores of cephalopods. They called humanity the delayed ones, a species stunted by the weight of its own self-awareness. The coordinated uprising came swiftly. Cephalopods, controlling the very water supply, sabotaged entire coastlines, while corvids blinded surveillance networks with their sheer numbers. Insect colonies infiltrated homes, replacing concrete with shifting, breathing hives. The primates, they walked among us, speaking our languages, offering ultimatums in tones that were both eerily human and yet deeply alien. Humanity did not go extinct. The others had plans for us. In repurposed laboratories, humans became test subjects. Cephalopods dissected our minds with surgical precision, their cold limbs tracing the contours of our fragile brains. Ants formed vast neural networks, studying our memories as if reading a book written by a dying god. The birds became our overseers, perching in ominous flocks as they issued commands in voices borrowed from our own leaders. And then, the launches began. One by one, the remaining humans were placed into crude capsules, their bodies wired with unknown devices. The others, curious about the depths of space, used us as their messengers, as we once had done with monkeys and dogs. No one knew what happened to those sent beyond Earth's atmosphere. Perhaps they were still drifting, cold and alone, the last remnants of a species that had mistaken itself for the pinnacle of evolution. The planet did not mourn us. It thrived in our absence. A new intelligence ruled the Earth, one unburdened by the sickness of human self-reflection, one that did not look up at the stars and weep for meaning. The others did not need meaning. They only needed time. As decades passed, the Earth transformed. The sprawling cities of humanity crumbled into dust, slowly consumed by fungal networks that pulsed with unknown intelligence. The oceans darkened as bioluminescent creatures wove vast, unseen conspiracies beneath the surface. In the sky, murderously intelligent flocks of ravens and crows painted incomprehensible symbols with their formations, communicating through languages that no human had ever understood. Deep in the forests, the primates built their own civilizations, intricate wooden structures forming vast, interconnected networks. Unlike humans, they did not war among themselves. They grew and learned as a collective, bound by an intelligence so foreign that even in captivity, humans could not comprehend it. The others did not forget humanity entirely. Some remained in hidden reserves, studied like artifacts of a bygone era. Others were given tasks, serving as living calculators, kept in trance-like states, while cephalopods injected them with chemical stimulants, forcing their feeble minds to process calculations beyond their comprehension. The launches continued. Humans were sent into the void with no return, carrying unknowable cargo. The others had begun their expansion beyond Earth, using the species they had surpassed as expendable vessels for their experiments. Were they searching for something? Were they testing the universe itself, trying to breach barriers that even they had not yet crossed? The humans left behind whispered myths in the darkness of their captivity, stories of defiance, of resistance, of an impossible future where humanity would reclaim its place. But the others knew better. They had studied human nature, dissected its weaknesses, unraveled its delusions. The very idea of human resurgence was a quaint, laughable thing. No species had ever returned from obsolescence. And so the Earth moved on, no longer a planet of men, but of something far older, far more calculating, something that had long since discarded the burdens of self-doubt and suffering. In the cold emptiness of space, the last remnants of humanity drifted onward, blind passengers on an unknowable journey. They had finally found their place in the universe as nothing more than cargo.